أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم وفقنا وسائر المشتغلين للعلم والعمل الصالح بحق محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن عدوهم. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, "O people, revere Allah, for man was not created in vain, that he may amuse himself, nor has he been abandoned to futility, that he may be vain." قال الإمام علي عليه السلام: أيها الناس اتقوا الله، فما خلق امرؤ عبثا فيلهو، ولا ترك سدى فيلغو. There is a purpose behind creation. He has not been created in vain or without a purpose. Allah said in the Holy Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. There is a purpose behind that. We have to be careful about this purpose and not to play around. With Islamic laws, we reach to issue number 331. If there is an unbandaged wound, there is a wound and this wound is unbandaged, there is no bandage on it. If there is an unbandaged wound, sore, or a broken bone, 3. Wound, sore, broken bone, and it is not bandaged, in one's face or hands, and if the use of water is harmful for it, using water is harmful for this wound, for this sore, or for this broken bone, one should wash the parts adjoining the wound from above downwards. Now we're talking about the wound. If using water on this wound, either in a hand or in face, using water is harmful, we are going to what? To wash only the parts above and on the side and downwards for the wound part, from above downwards, in the usual manner of wudu, نفس طريقة الوضوء. And it is better to pass a wet hand on it. It is better to pass a wet hand on it. والأفضل إنه نمشي إيد رطبة, not with water, because we said water is what is using water is harmful for the wound. Just to pass a wet hand on the wound. It here refers to the wound. If it is not harmful to do so, if it is not harmful, I'm going to do what? To wash the adjacent parts, the joining parts, and what? To pass the wet hand on the wound itself, if it is not harmful. Therefore, he should place a tahir, in the usual manner of wudu. And it is better to pass, this is as a recommended precaution, it is better to pass a wet hand on it, if it is not harmful to do so. Therefore, he should place a tahir piece of cloth, just like piece of cotton, piece of cloth, shash, bandage, tahir, on it, and pass a wet hand over that cloth. If it is possible, or using water or wet hand will be harmful to the wound, I will put what? I will put a piece of cloth. I think I have a piece of cloth. Yes. I'll put a piece of cloth where on the wound on the wound, okay, then I will pass a wet hand on that cloth. I will pass a wet hand on that cloth. And pass a wet hand over that cloth. But in the case of fracture, we talk about what? About wound. But how about fractured and broken bone? But in the case of a fracture, tayammum must be performed. So, wound and sore, we can wash the adjacent part, نغسل الأطراف المجاورة, and we can either to pass our wet hand over the wound or the sore, or to put a tahir cloth on this wound and pass a wet hand on it, all right? And with a broken or a fractured bone, we are going to do what? We should go to tayammum. The obligatory duty is to go to tayammum. Yes.
When we use the cloth on the hand or the face, should it reach to the skin, or it's okay if it doesn't reach?
When we do what?
Use a cloth on the wound. And it is okay, or it is possible or acceptable if it doesn't reach the skin?
No, my daughter, it is written right here. He should place a tahir piece of cloth on it and pass a wet.
Yes, I know.
Pass a wet hand over that cloth.
So it will not reach the place.
I'm talking about the wound or the sore.
Yes.
I cannot use water for this wound or sore. Why? Because using water to this wound or sore is harmful.
Yes.
What should I do? I should wash. Imagine this is the sore or the wound right here. I should wash the adjacent parts with water. Okay? Yes. I should wash it with water. How about the wound? In this wound, if I can, my wet hand, I will pass it over the wound. If I can, I will pass my wet hand, not with moisture, not with water, just wet. My wet hand over the wound. If I cannot, or it is recommended, to put a tahir cloth on the wound and to wipe it. Could you take the mic?
Because it is harmful, so that we...
Yes, we said that because using water, it will be what? It will be harmful. For that...
so it's just wetness without...
Yeah, just wetness, not water. Just wetness. مجرد الرطوبة. مجرد نمسحها بإيدنا الرطبة لا أكثر. ما أريد بلل.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Issue number 332. If there is an unbandaged wound or sore or fractured bone on the front part of the head, right here, on the front part of the head, or on the feet, the places where we wipe, exactly, the places where we wipe, or on the front part of the head, or on the feet, and he cannot wipe it. He cannot wipe the front part of the head, or he cannot wipe the upper part of the feet, because the wound has covered the entire part of the wiping. Because the wound has covered the entire part of wiping, of wiping. لأنه الجرح غطى كل المكان اللي راح نمسح به، إما ظاهر مقدم الرأس أو ظاهر القدمين، كلها مجروحة، فما أقدر شو أسوي؟ ما أقدر wiping on them because of the wound, and it is unbandaged. وهي شبيهة ما مجبرة. Or if he cannot wipe even the healthy parts. Why he cannot wipe the healthy parts? It happens when we have, for example, burn or a wound if we wipe the healthy part, it will affect the unhealthy part, or it will make it secure longer than usual. إذا مسحناه على الأماكن اللي هي صحيحة بجنب هذا الجروح راح يأثر إما بأنه فترة الشفاء تكون أطول، أو يأثر على الجرح نفسه. Again, if there is an unbandaged wound or sore or fractured bone on the front part of the head or on the feet, and he cannot wipe it because the wound has covered the entire part of wiping, or if he cannot wipe even the healthy parts, then it is necessary for him to do tayammum. It is necessary for him. This is a verdict, fatwa, not a precaution. This is fatwa. It is necessary for him to do what? To do tayammum. And as a recommended precaution, he should also perform wudu. His obligatory duty is to perform what? Tayammum. And as a recommended precaution, to add to the tayammum what? Ablution. Keeping a piece of tahir cloth on the wound, etc. And wipe that cloth with the moisture of wudu in his hand. This is as a recommended precaution. His obligatory duty, what to do? To do tayammum, to perform tayammum. And as recommended precaution, he will do what? He will do ablution. The ablution, as we explained before, and to put what? To put a tahir piece of cloth on the front head or on the upper part of his feet, and to wipe with the moisture, not with water. To wipe with moisture. With wetness, with wetness. ويمسح بالبلل بالرطوبة, not بالبلل. Do you have a question? Any question? Issue number 333. If the sore or wound or fractured bone is bandaged. Now the sore, the wound or fractured bone is what? Is bandaged. And if it is possible to undo it, and if it is possible to undo it, to open the bandage away, to uncover the wound, to take the bandage away, يعني تفكون الباندج تخلوه. There is possibility. And if water is not harmful for it, one should, this is verdict, one should untie it, to open the, untie the bandage, and then do wudu. If it is not harmful, to untie the bandage and to perform ablution, regardless of whether the wound, etc., regardless whether the wound, the sore, or the fractured is on his face and hands, or on the front part of his head, or on his feet. If there is a possibility to untie the bandage, there is possibility that we untie what? The bandage. And it is not harmful to use water. Here, it is not obligatory. It is a verdict. We should untie the bandage and to perform ablution whenever this bandage is on the face, on the hands, on the upper part of the front part of head, or on the upper part of your feet. Doesn't matter. Just untie the bandage and perform ablution. Issue number 338. If the wound or sore, or the fractured bone or the fractured bone, which has been tied with a splint. Which has been tied with a splint. Splint اللي هي الجبيرة. Splint اللي هي الجبيرة. Which tied with a splint or a bandage. Or a bandage. Is الباندج هو الرباط أو الشاش. Or a bandage is on the face or the hands of a person. Now the wound, the sore, the fractured bone is bandaged with a splint, and this were on the face, on the hand. And if undoing it and pouring water on the face or the hands of the person, and if undoing it and pouring water on it is harmful, we cannot remove the splint. Huh? Yes, exactly. If undoing it and pouring water on it is harmful, he should wash the adjacent parts which is possible to wash. The adjacent part to whom? To the wound or to the sore or to the fractured bone. And then wipe the jabira. And then wipe the jabira. With one condition. That jabira should be tahir. That jabira should be tahir. That splint should be tahir. Not jabira or splint is mutanajjis. If it is mutanajjis and we cannot change it, we will put what? We will put a clean or tahir cloth on it, and we will wipe on the tahir cloth. We will take it, inshallah. He should wash the adjacent parts, which is possible to wash, and then wipe the jabira. Issue number 335. If it is not possible to untie the bandage we cannot untie it. It is tied on the wound. If it is not possible to untie the bandage of the wound, but the wound and the bandage on it are tahir. But the wound and the bandage on it are tahir. Both of them are tahir. The bandage and the wound itself are tahir. But the problem, we cannot untie the bandage. And if it is possible to make water reach the wound without any harm, excuse me, if it is possible, for example, imagine this is the bandage, this bandage right here. I cannot untie it. And the bandage is tahir, and also the wound is tahir. If it is possible to remove the bandage a little bit and to let the water reach the skin and the wound itself without the wound is being harmed, all right? I have to do so. I have to do so, to remove the bandage a little bit and let the water reach the skin. If it is possible to make water reach the wound without any harm, water should be made to reach the wound by pouring from above downward. And if the wound or its bandage is mutanajjis, the wound is mutanajjis and the bandage itself mutanajjis, and I cannot remove the bandage. This is put in your mind. But it is possible to wash it. But there is a possibility to wash what? To wash the bandage. And to make water and to wash the bandage and to wash what? The wound itself. But it is possible to wash it and to make water reach the wound. Then he should wash it, wash the wound, and should make water reach the wound at the time of wudu. Wash the wound, wash it from the najasa, maybe there is blood on it, and at the time, and also wash the bandage from najasa. At the time of making ablution, let the water reach to what? Let the water reach to the skin. And if water is not harmful for the wound, if using water is not harmful for the wound, but it is not possible to make water reach it. Using water is not harmful for the wound, but the problem is that the splint is so tight that it prevents the water from reaching what? From reaching to the skin. This is the problem. He should perform tayammum. He should, or the wound is mutanajjis and cannot be washed, he should perform tayammum. In this case, he should perform tayammum. That means we have two cases. If I cannot wash the splint or the bandage, which is mutanajjis, all right, and at the same time I cannot let the water reach to the wound under the splint. In this case, what shall I do? I have to go to tayammum. My obligatory duty is to go for tayammum. Issue number 336. If the jabira covers some of the parts of the wudu, if the jabira covers some of the parts of wudu, then wudu prescribed for jabira is enough. Jabira covered some of the parts of wudu, and wudu prescribed for jabira is enough. But if all the parts of wudu are totally covered in jabira, now, number one, some parts of ablution of wudu are covered with what? With splint, with jabira. Then wudu jabira is enough. How about if the whole part, the whole face, the whole head, the whole feet, or the whole hand is covered with what? With jabira, from the elbow till the tips of the fingers. What shall we do? If the jabira covers some of the parts of wudu, then wudu prescribed for jabira is enough. But if all the parts of wudu are totally covered in jabira, then as a precaution, one should do tayammum. This is as a precaution. And also wudu as per rules of jabira. So he has to do two things. First of all, to perform tayammum, and then to do what? Wudu jabira. Is this understood? Any question? Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن عدوهم